We are continuing our card-by-card analysis of 1960, The Making of a President. We hope you'll join us here on Legendary Tactics. And so we're moving on to the next card. It's been a little while since we've done one of these, so
yes, we're getting back to it here.
Yes, so this will be great. Okay. So the Greater Houston Ministerial Association,
and it's a prevention event.
Yes.
Immediately move the Kennedy candidate token to Texas without paying the normal travel costs. Kennedy player gains 1 momentum marker and may add a total of 5 state support anywhere, no more than 1 per state. And it prevents Baptist ministers Norman Vincent Peale and the Puerto Rican bishops events. Okay.
Yes.
So there's a fair bit happening with this event, this card here.
Yeah, no, it is actually a pretty big event. So
yeah,
I mean, I think Kennedy very likely has to take this one, not only because of the movement and the free 5 state support anywhere.
Yeah.
Even though it's a bit dispersed, you only get 1 per state, but to prevent Baptist ministers, Norman Vincent Peale, and Puerto Rican bishops with that is a
lot of
card.
mitigation, right? That's a lot of mitigation.
Like,
especially this game, this is a no-brainer early game.
If
you've got this early game.
Yeah,
it's like one of the first cards you play, actually.
Yeah. Well, because you get a momentum marker and you get 5 state support anywhere. So I don't know.
And blocking those events. I don't know. It's almost you play this anytime you get. I think this is as close to a must play as you're going to get.
Yeah, and the only exception I can think of is if it's your last turn. It's the last round of the game right before the election, and New York is in contention.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah,
and you want to, you want to do the best you can with. That state in particular, but you're still giving up a lot. I don't know, because I know New York is obviously 45 electoral college votes in this game, but if I could place 1 state support anywhere, you could potentially make that up. And I don't know.
Yeah, especially in 5 spots. Yeah. That's a really good point. I don't even know if it's worth New York.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much about as must play an event as you can possibly come up with.
Now what would you do as Nixon to mitigate
Nixon,
this?
I would do whatever I could to not
play it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to take a hit in the debate. But actually, as Nixon, if you got this, late game, absolutely, you'd save it up for New York, even if you were ahead there. I don't think you can ever overcommit to New York. New York State is...
that is true.
It is so key.
So early game, what do you do with this for Nixon?
I think you take it.
Do you put it into the debates?
And you put it on your campaign strategy pile.
Yeah.
And you take the hit in the debates. It's just too powerful an event. I mean, even giving up 4 campaign points, it's just too big an event. And unless, of course, Kennedy has no momentum markers and can't trigger it, then obviously I'd play it. But
so you look for your moment to try and drop it if you can.
That almost goes without saying. But I would say that if Kennedy can play this, then you take your hit in the debates and just work around it.
Right.
That's you cannot let that event trigger. Even late game. So I would say it's only when Kennedy's out of momentum markers. So.
Okay, and now we go right to another big event here, the Republican TV spots.
Yep.
So immediately move the Nixon candidate token to New York, but do not pay the normal travel cost for doing so. The Nixon player may place 3 media cubes.
Yes, and those can be anywhere. So the media support cubes obviously can help out a lot. I would be tempted to concentrate them. I find that you can force your opponent to spend a lot of campaign points trying to knock you, especially in the East. If you can get your media support cubes in the East.
East seems to be our battleground for the media. That's what we've played. I always find the media pops up in the East all the time.
Yep. Midwest is also not a bad choice. South is not a terrible choice either, but if I had to prioritize my media cubes, I'd say East, Midwest, South, and then West.
Yeah, the West is just too sprawling.
Yeah, there's not
except
a lot of
for
value
California,
there.
right?
Yeah. But remember back then, California wasn't as big as it is now. It's 32 electoral votes, which is the same as Pennsylvania. So
that's true. That is true. Yeah,
and
speaking
very
of
close
California,
to places
this
like Ohio and so
right.
forth. So.
Yeah. There's not. It's not like current.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of California, this is for California as well. So that is another option for the Kennedy player.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't find this card has the teeth of the last card, though.
No, it's not bad. And again, I would have to say this is the earlier the better. If you pick this up in the last round, I'd be more likely to go for the campaign points.
Yeah, the campaign points. Yeah.
But I mean, it's actually funny because if I'm Kennedy and I'm worried about Nixon triggering this one, it's not a nightmare. And depending on the battleground, this is where these cards can be funny, because if you're fighting, let's say you're in a battle for the Midwest or the South, then moving the Nixon candidate token
helpful
to New York actually throws them off their game.
I was just thinking that. Yeah, it would actually. Yeah, a campaign point to get back.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a terrible event for Kennedy to.
Mind you, in that circumstance, Nixon would have to be just a little more flexible and then just like cause havoc in around New York, right? So
yeah,
and in the East, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I would do. So.
Yeah, but if you're really focusing on the debates, then yeah, I mean. I don't know. I'd be fine with playing it potentially. Obviously, California. If California is in play, then either candidate would consider this for their campaign strategy. I think.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Just not as powerful as the previous, but that's for sure.
No, but all right.
Okay, and then we go on to Stomp Speech.
Another biggie.
Wow. If opponent has more momentum markers, player gains enough to have the same number. That's interesting.
Very situational.
Yeah.
Very situational. I can't, unless they had a staggering number of them. I don't know if that would be worthwhile. If they've got 2 and I have 0, maybe. If they have 1 and I have none, I wouldn't play it. I'm not going to play this just for a single momentum marker.
Not for 4 CP, no.
Yeah, for 3 momentum markers, yeah, maybe. I mean, again,
3 is useful. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Especially especially if it's early in the round.
Yep. But is it worth giving
like
up 4
3-0
campaign points? Is 3 momentum markers worth 4 campaign points? That's a tough call. I think it depends on the board, but personally, I think I've almost always played this for the campaign points.
I think the board and cards in hand too. And do you have to mitigate some cards events, or do you have to are you wondering if he's got some, and if it's early in the round? Yep.
And as far as the debate goes, I mean, it's useful in the debate, or this is a great campaign strategy card if you can spare the campaign points, because it's going to help you no matter what you do. It'll help for your debate. It'll help you with Ohio, which is again it's 25 electoral votes.
Right.
So that is not too bad.
So it's not small change, but
yeah. So
I would say it's kind of a middling event, though.
Yeah, I think it's a safe 4 campaign point card, but if you happen to be drowning in campaign points, then you can consider it for your campaign strategy. Bobby Kennedy.
There you are. The Kennedy player gains +1 CP to all cards played for the remainder of the turn to a maximum of 5.
Yes.
This is and I've seen a Twilight Struggle, for example, has similar cards like this too. This seems to be like a universal kind of throw-in card for a lot of these games.
Yeah, and you can mitigate it the same way. If you're Nixon, you just save it for the last turn. And if
is it worth the turn as Kennedy to play early?
Yeah, see, this is where it's different from Twilight Struggle, because this would be a great headline in Twilight Struggle. But in this game, you have to give up an action round in order to play it. So I don't know. Like it has to be played on your first action round, and it's kind of a short-term pain for long-term gain kind of thing.
Right, but then you have to also look at the cards in hand, and is it worth like you doing that? Because how many events are you going to be playing? You know.
Yes.
Versus taking the CPs for.
Yeah.
So.
I would say probably this is in practice. If you play it on the first action of your turn, the first phase of your turn there, you'll get a maximum of 4 campaign points, and that's only if you play every card for campaign points. So
and I mean it is only offering you 2 campaign points. So I mean it's not this rich. Now, I guess you do get 2 rest cubes as well, so that's
but that's always going to be.
I think that's regardless.
With any
right?
2 campaign point card, it's going to be the same. So I mean, I would say probably this isn't worth it for Kennedy to play, unless for some reason he's going to play all 4 cards
for the campaign points. Well, maybe even 3. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, but if
do you
Nixon
want to
plays
waste a turn?
It's worth triggering. Except Nixon isn't going to play it until the last action round of the of the turn, which means
is it worth burying for Connecticut? That's the next question.
Well, let's see. Connecticut. It's 8. No, not really.
No. Yeah. No. So this is kind of a. I call it a throwaway card.
Yeah, I would say it probably for Kennedy.
You know what? Even putting it towards the debates for yourself, not the worst
maybe
idea.
Actually that would probably be the best overall use of this card, because again, it's just like you could with the benefit it's going to get you on average, is probably better to just take the 2 campaign points, because it's going to net you the same. Unless
you're looking at your hand saying, I am taking campaign points the entire turn here.
Yeah, or if your hand is particularly terrible on campaign points, I could see that being a potential benefit in that case.
Yes.
But again, very situational. Probably you're going to either use it for the debates or just campaign points.
Hostile Press Corps.
Wow, they even had them back then.
Look at that,
The more things change, the more they stay the same. So again, a big
4 CP.
4 CP. The Nixon players are required to make support checks for campaigning actions in all states for the remainder of the turn, as if they were being carried by Kennedy. So that can be an absolutely huge drain.
Well, and I'm thinking like the last round.
Yes.
You know, where you're making a mad dash and you're trying to flip the states.
Yes.
And this gets dropped on you. Oh.
Yes. That is, the last 2 turns.
This card could be punishing.
Anytime after the debate, it could be very, very punishing. You have to play it early, obviously.
I think it's a bit situational.
Card. Yeah. And, in what way?
Well, I'm guessing you're wagering that the Nixon player is going to be playing a lot of CP points and not like card events.
Yeah, true, and that they're doing campaigning, as opposed to fighting for the issues. And again, for that reason, because the issues are typically more aggressively fought over early, like before the debates.
Yes.
This is really best in turns 7 and 8.
Late game. I think this is almost a no-brainer. You play this event.
Yeah.
But early to mid-game, that's where the dilemma comes in, because there's other things that are kind of intriguing in the game at that point, right? Or in play.
Yeah, and for that reason, like obviously Nixon can just play this late in their turn,
problem.
Make sure they do their campaigning
easily
at the beginning of the turn and then fight over the issues for the rest of the turn. They'll be fine. So
now Pennsylvania, is it worth to play in for Pennsylvania?
Well, Pennsylvania is 32 electoral vote. Like, it very well could be worth. If Pennsylvania is close, I would say yes.
Would you? You'd consider dropping it, eh?
Oh yeah. Well, if Pennsylvania is close, especially as Nixon, but it is 4 campaign points. So again, it always depends on the rest of your hand.
Yeah, and I guess the dilemma again comes in: do you want, as Kennedy, to play this into the for the state, or do you like late game, or do you want to play it against Nixon late game, right? So if you get it late game, you
Yeah.
still have a bit of a dilemma, I suppose.
Yep. I would say board wise, I think it would be most useful if you happen to be winning and you're protecting your holdings and Nixon's running around, because the more inefficient you can make that catch up,
the better.
That if Nixon's trying to make a run to catch up and then you drop that is going to be debilitating. It could potentially allow Kennedy to catch up, but I think it's a less direct route to that.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like playing the event would be a little more powerful late game than going for just Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
At least
Probably.
for
Yeah.
Kennedy.
I mean, but if you are, if you're Nixon and you get this late game, this might be one that you'd want to put on your campaign strategy.
Yeah. Oh, I think so for sure. Yeah.
But again, if Pennsylvania's in contention, I think it's a potential one for that. Kamoi and Matsu.
All right. So the leader in defense gains 1 momentum marker and may add a total of 3 state support anywhere, no more than 1 per.
Yeah.
So this is situational, obviously.
Yep. And we've seen
If you're
other
getting
cards
blown
like
out of the
before.
water. Yeah. You have to sort of either slowly build your lead in defense or gain the lead in defense if you're gonna play it, obviously.
Yeah, and I think that gaining the 1 momentum marker and the 3 state support anywhere, I think that you have the 3 campaign points. I don't know. It depends on where you are. If you've already got enough momentum markers that you would likely lose that momentum marker, then you may choose to take the campaign points because it's the same difference, really. Although the only advantage is that with the event you can place
your
them
opponent
anywhere. I'm assuming you're the leader in defense. You're considering the event. The advantage is that you can spread the 3 state support anywhere, but it's no more than 1 per state. So yeah, very situational.
Do you have to be a little bit careful with your opponent if your opponent currently leads, because
yes, I would say
they can trigger this for nothing, basically.
Well, they'd have to spend a momentum marker,
but
then
they get
they'd
one
get
back.
it back. Yeah, so they'd essentially, they just basically get 3 cubes for free.
Right.
So it's one
I think you have to be mindful of if you're not leading a defense, right?
I agree. North Carolina's 14 electoral votes. I would say in general this might be a good card for the debates, and possibly for the North Carolina. So if you're not the leader in defense, this is a potential campaign strategy card. If you are the leader in defense, I don't see any downside.
Yeah. If you're leading in defense here, I think you should be playing this card though.
Yeah.
Especially because you can play them anywhere.
Yes.
So you have complete run of the mill. So that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
That's actually pretty decent card for a 3.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Suburban voters.
I like this
Really?
one. Yeah.
So the Kennedy player may add a total of 5 state support in states having 20 or more electoral votes, no more than 2 per.
Yes.
More than 2 per. Okay.
Yeah, that's the big difference, because a lot of the cards, they add 1 support per state. This is 2. That's significant. You can actually flip a state if it's weakly held by by Nixon.
By Nixon.
And it's having 20 or more electoral votes. So it's significant in that
it's all the big states.
It's the big states.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty it can really whittle down a lead, or it can even, as I said, flip a state. As Nixon, I'm always very careful with this one.
Well, this one is obnoxious anytime you play it too, right?
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter.
Doesn't
really.
matter when. It is always going to be a great event. It's not tied to a particular turn.
No, or like timing in the turn either, right? Doesn't matter when you play it.
Yeah, to be honest, like as Kennedy, this is a no-brainer for the event. So as Nixon, I would be very cautious. I would maybe even take a hit in the debate,
to drop it,
to put it in my
bury
campaign, because again, it's hitting you where it hurts. It's hitting you in all, up to 5 big states.
Yeah, and Minnesota is worth 11, so it's not that compelling to drop it.
No, it's not. No, but yeah, there may only be like 5 states over 20 anyway. To be honest,
Right. Yeah, there isn't a lot.
Yeah, there really isn't. Like Massachusetts is, whoops, I'm just trying to view this. Massachusetts is 16. Yeah, so you got New York.
Got Texas in the south.
Texas, Pennsylvania, California, Illinois.
You got a bunch
Michigan,
in the mid, though. Yeah, you got Ohio, Michigan.
But nothing in the south. Well, aside from Texas. Sorry,
Texas, yeah.
Which was already said. And nothing in the west other than California. So it's really, it's going to hit you where it hurts in terms of it's going to be able to do a lot of damage across a broad stretch of very consequential states. Yeah. So, I wouldn't want Kennedy to have this one if I were Nixon. That would not play well.
Be ideal.
So,
Swing states.
Oh, you love this. This is one of those cards that I always feel you always get. You always hit me with this one.
Either of us can play it, though.
It's true, but you always get it in hand.
I always seem to get it. Yeah, that's right. So the player may add 5 state support to a single state, which is currently being led but not carried by the opposing player. Immediately move player's candidate token to that state, but do not pay normal travel costs.
Yeah.
To do so.
This is a must-take event for either side, and it doesn't really even matter when.
No, you're right. Yeah. Although knowing you, I would imagine you like to end a turn by doing this, just to be an annoyance.
That it's a great option for an end of turn.
Yeah, just drop it down.
Yep, just drop it down, and
especially end of game. Like, can you imagine this is the last card you play on New York?
Oh yeah,
you let me build it all up, and then you just come in with that.
Yeah, you build it up. You got 4 state support in there.
You're like, oh, not anymore.
I'm carrying New York, and then suddenly it flips right around. Oh, jeez. Yeah, and because you can target any state, it is essentially you're flipping it, and I think it would be actually smart maybe to target a less popular state. Like if you target Texas or New York, odds are the other player is going to do a lot to work to flip that. But if you say
a Michigan
maybe, or North Carolina or something, it's really consequential. But it's still a lot of it feels like extra effort to get to North Carolina to undo that damage. Yeah, Michigan might be ideal actually because it's right on that limit of what's convenient and
and even in the Midwest, you still have 2 states that are bigger. You got Ohio and Illinois, so you have ones that are probably going to be focused on more.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting strategy to consider too. Yeah. Right? Take maybe a slightly lesser valued state, right?
I mean, I think that's maybe the best. I don't know, though. I mean, it certainly puts the pressure on if you can, flip a big state and, carry it. Go from the opponent having, 1 support cube to you carrying it with 1 card. That's massive.
Not bad. And Virginia, I don't think it's really worth.
12 electoral votes. It's not worth it. And
you can do better.
I would not. Yeah. I would take this event 100% of the time. I can't imagine anyone that wouldn't.
Oops.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So we got
Adlai Stevenson.
The Kennedy player gains 1 state support in Illinois and may retrieve any card from the discard pile. Oh yes.
That is huge.
At mid to late game, I would say. Early game, maybe not so much.
Yeah, early game is kind of useless.
This card is perfect for Nixon to play in the first round.
Yeah. If you're Nixon, make this the first card you play in the game.
Can't do better.
Or just even early. Even turn 2 or whatever. There may be some reasonably fun card for Kennedy to retrieve, but I mean, if you can retrieve, say, Suburban Voters, or which we covered already, or Henry Cabot Lodge, or there's a bunch of dangerous cards that can
that you do not want to see again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's different in this game as well compared to, say, Twilight Struggle is if you draw a card, an extra card in hand, then that can mean you don't have to play a different awkward card because you have an extra card, and then at the end of the turn everything's just discarded or whatever, right? So you don't have to it's one of the few times when you can kind of expand your hand capacity, which helps you with hand management. It works a little bit different than Twilight Struggle.
That is true. Now it is Massachusetts, which is 16 electoral votes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're
Nixon, I'm thinking.
Sure, that's not a bad choice. You do have to give up 3 campaign points, but that's not the end of the world. So
now, if you're Nixon and it's the last play of the turn, you can pretty much play this safely any round, right?
Because the discard pile.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's whatever's in the disc. I know. Actually, sorry. I know what you're saying. Actually, sorry. I just realized what you're saying. Yeah. You know what? Actually, I think that would be fine. I mean, potentially you may give Kennedy an opportunity. The only downside, there is still a downside, and that is you either give Kennedy a better card for the debate, or you give with the state symbol, so they can pull out a card if there happens to be one where there's a state in contention. They can then use that card for their, so if they have, say, Wyoming or Montana,
they can pick up like New York,
they can pick up New York, they can pick up something like that. So it's not totally without consequence, but
it's mitigated.
It is a way of mitigating it if you really can't play it any other way, or like if you can't get rid of it or what have you any other way, then sure.
Okay.
But make that just the easiest thing. Just make it the first card of the game.
Yeah, that's right. Solves that problem.
Yeah. This is our last one for today.
And it's the trial of Gary Powers.
Yeah.
And defense moves up 2 spaces in the issue track. The leader in defense gains 1 momentum marker. That's a meh event for me.
Well, again, very situational, because if you lead in defense and defense is in the 3rd place here like this, and if let's say Kennedy leads on defense, right, then moving it up 2 spaces actually moves you from 3rd place just getting a momentum marker to getting a momentum and an endorsement.
Yeah,
so it could be worth an endorsement. I think it's best done on your last play of the turn if you're going to take this event, because you got a surprise, I think, with this.
That's right.
So
a little bit. Now you may lose that momentum marker because you'll be rounded down at the end of the phase, but
yes, that's true.
Unless you have 3, you
still
lose.
Or if you have 0. Then
that's okay.
That would help, because it would give you then 2
you'll still be
markers.
at 2. You'll still lose 1.
Yeah, but again,
that's.
But would I play in defense solely to use this? Maybe. I mean, the surprise factor, right? Like if you're going last on that particular turn, the surprise factor of this can be pretty significant, right?
Yeah, I would be more inclined to actually take the CPs.
Yeah.
I think 3 CPs.
Probably.
It's pretty rich to give up for that event, but
yes, I in general I would agree, but I like the surprise element
or the
of
debates.
Well, not for the debates, but for the if you, let's say, are in you're going last and it's your last turn, your last round of the turn, and you lead in defense, and
you can pull that little maneuver, right?
You shoot up there. You get an endorsement out of that, plus a momentum marker, plus another momentum marker. So you would go from 0 momentum markers and in contention to get 1 momentum marker, and you'd get 2 momentum markers and an endorsement. So
I mean, but is it worth the turn and 3 CPs? I guess is the question.
Yeah, that's the only question. It's probably 6 of one, half dozen of the other in my mind. But you would take the CPs most.
I think I would. I think CPs are better spent for me. But
probably.
Yeah.
But if someone took the event, I wouldn't hold it against them. But I would say save it until the end of the turn if you're going to do that.
And if you're not leading in defense, it actually might be a bit of a carrot to dangle. Say you have other events. I've often thought about this with this game, is that sometimes you try to dangle events that maybe your opponent will take before you have to play one that's really punishing.
Yes.
So this is one of those events that
is one of the most brutal bluffing decision points in this game. Is your opponent plays the trial of Gary Powers.
Do you take the event? Even
You've got one
you know,
momentum marker left, and there's 3 cards yet to play.
and say it was that exact spot, right, where defense, you're winning a defense, and it's in the bottom. Like, do you take that event and say, all right, let's bump up, and then there's still 2 cards to play, right, or something. Say,
yeah. So that's always the question: do you blow your momentum marker on that, which wouldn't be wasted, but depending on what the event was to follow. If they play Suburban Voters right after that, it's like, oh my gosh.
Now, mind you, to be fair, I think this event, don't you get one right away? You do gain a momentum marker. So actually,
that's right. Yeah,
this one wouldn't cost. But I cards like this, where you don't get the momentum marker, I often think to myself, oh,
yes, that's very true. Yeah,
do you dangle a bit of a carrot?
Yes, yeah. No, it still may be worth, depending on the situation. Again, like if defense is already at the top of the issue track, you're basically just gaining 1 momentum marker, so it'd be
it's a wash.
It's a wash basically. So
yeah.
So I would say I would agree. Sorry, as I'm thinking it through, I'm like, you know what, you got to play this last if you're gonna play it.
Yeah, and I would say generally for me, take the CPs.
Yes. Yeah, that's very true. All right, so that is the next 10 in the deck. We've got a couple more of these left. Actually, it looks like 3 more left of these. We hope you're getting some value out of them and enjoying them. It just reminds me of what a great game 1960
such a good game.
President happens to be.
Oh, it totally is great. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you could, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and comment down below somewhere. Let us know your thoughts if you disagree with us on any of these cards or have any further strategy ideas
please let us
that you'd like
know.
to share.
We'd love to hear them.
Yeah. So, and until next time,
I'm Cax.
And I'm NATO.
And this is
Legendary Tactics.